Welcome to Footy Center podcast series, powered by Ultra Press Media Company.
Hello and welcome to the brand new podcast. It is the FC Pitchside podcast, and I'm excited to bring you the maiden edition, the very first episode of the FC Pitchside podcast. My name is Thierry, Nyann, and I will not do this alone. I will do this with two gentlemen that you are very familiar with if you are in the Ghana football circles. One of them is a name that you have been growing with for a while. I'm talking about, a Ghana national team player. He's paid his dues, played splendid football, as I would put it. Jonathan Mensah will join me here on this podcast going forward. And also a voice and a face that you have become familiar with in the last decade or so. I'm talking about sports journalist Philip Sitso Atsrim. These two gentlemen will join me as we continue to bring you what we know you want. We know you would love this, and that's why we have cooked this just for you. We'll be sharing ideas on the beautiful game, football, trying to break down and analyze all the happenings on and off the pitch, be it current football happenings, or we'll delve or we'll travel back in time to discuss things that happened during Jonathan Mensah's time with the national team, or like this first episode is going to be, we will delve into his career, an illustrious career in the world of football. He decided to travel Europe for a while before settling the United States of America, playing and captaining one of the Major League Soccer teams, and also playing others in his time here in the USA. I say here like I'm here. I'm not here. I'm in Accra. I'm in Ghana, so just take note of. But yeah, I'll introduce my guest, and then we can quickly begin the first episode. Once again, let me introduce Jonathan Mensah and Philip. Jonathan, you're welcome.
Thank you, and glad to be on the show. Sitso, are you ready for tonight?
Yeah, I'm ready, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, man. Looking forward to it. Finally, it's here. It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Thierry was like, I'm gonna do this for my guy Sitso and all that. So we'll see. I'm ready.
For the record, I didn't do anything for my guy. I didn't do anything for Sitso.
What record are you talking about?
So for those of you who do not know what Jonathan is talking about, on today's episode, we'll be discussing Jonathan's illustrious career, like I said, club football, and what he's done for the Ghana national team. We'll also delve into some other issues, including Ghana's current state, because remember, we have failed to qualify for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournament, but we are almost qualified for the 2026 World Cup. Remember, it's happening in the United States. Where are we as a country? We'll be discussing that. And also, we'll be looking at Arsenal and just what it looks like for them. Because it looks like if this was FIFA, right? And Mikel Arteta had the controller, he's jumped from semi-pro to pro to expert, and it looks like now he's joined the elite. Wherever he's going to, I don't know, but he's beating the reigning champions of Europe, Real Madrid. We'll look at that. And then we'll also have at the end of this episode, so just stay tuned, we have a series of questions that my gentlemen are going to be answering, what we call the quiz. And it's going to be not just a quiz, but it's going to be a couple of games that they'll be playing in this episode. So please stay tuned to the very end. But let's start with Jonathan Mensah. Jonah, really, the first thing I want to ask you, though, is I think every fan has some of these questions on their minds. What is the feeling like when you get your first call-up for your country? Because what we hear a lot is all the things that happens with players is greed for money. They are always clamoring for money. It's always money, money, money in Ghana when it comes to the national team. But we know that it fills you guys with a sense of pride as well to be called. what is the feeling like before we delve into how your career started and where you are now?
It's always an honor to get the call up, not just even, okay, I'm there, I'm playing. No, no, no. When you get the call up, there's a whole process that goes into it where, whatever you believe in, you go ahead, you pray, you thank whoever that's helping you, pushing you get to wherever you want to go. But yeah, it's been an honor to, and I'm still available though. So don't say his time in the national team.
I never said you're not
Wait,
available.
wait,
I
wait,
never
wait,
Oh,
said
no,
wait,
you
wait,
were
I'm
wait,
not.
available for
wait,
the Black Stars.
Oh
wait.
no.
Are you saying, Jonah? Are you saying, Jonah,
Yeah.
that you are still available to play for the Black Stars? You've not hung your boots. You are still the Ghanaian
Sitso, he just said
international,
that. He just confirmed
available
he's
and
still
ready to
available for
play.
the Black Stars.
So,
And I want to hear
Coach
it. I want to
Otuado,
hear it
if you're
clearly. I want
watching
to hear it
this,
clearly.
anyway,
oh no, I'm not saying we should call on Otoado. We should alert him or anything. But I am obviously not done playing. So, but
right,
I
Right.
love that I'm seeing the young blood doing their thing. Helping the national team move in the right direction. Obviously, uh, the African Cup qualification didn't go as we wanted. We wanted it to go. As a
right,
fan, watching, if you are not playing, even if you're a current player, you're playing so well with your club. Let's say you get the call up this time, and then the next one you didn't get call up. You are a fan.
right.
So that's what I am now. I love everything about the Black Stars, and it's always going to be that way. Yeah, I'm always available, like I said earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know,
Theory, I want to ask Jonah
yeah.
something
Okay,
here.
okay. Go
Jonah,
ahead. Go ahead,
Theory
Sitso.
asked you about, I mean, how you felt when you got it, when you got the first call up. I want to ask you, how did that call up come to you? Who called you
Mhm.
first? Who contacted you? How did you receive that invitation to the national team? Because we know what's from, I mean, we're talking about the Black
Yeah,
Stars here. We know what's from the U20 to the Black Stars.
yeah.
What was the process? What happened?
I think I did receive. I was copied in the email. It was sent to my club at that time, and I was informed. I was called into the office of the general manager at that time, and he told me, "Hey, we received this email from the national team of Ghana," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and I sat up straight upright. Because yeah,
Interesting.
it was that moment. You played in the under 20s in the youth team, and you're obviously looking forward to it, but you are not expecting it too much. Maybe that is my perspective. I wasn't expecting it too much.
Did you consider yourself too young? Is that why? Because you were really
Not
young when you were
really
called into the senior national
the
team.
way I operate. Maybe that's the way I operate.
Okay.
I always want to put out, want to put out a good show. Whenever it's training games, I want to do my best. So that would be like me planting a seed. It's gonna germinate and then create something beautiful. So I just focus on doing my best, and then the rest will be in the hands of God. So when I was told this, hey, this was the news we got, I sat upright and I was just thanking God in my head that, God, I'm grateful that the moment has come. Obviously, to just be in the team. Sometimes some people miss the idea that when you are in the team, oh, that's about it. No, that is where the work even begins. So that's my
Mm.
perspective. So I was very grateful to be in the team. And then, moving forward, getting into the camp, it's real. Where you can also, show what you got to the national team.
So it's a national team career, and I have it in front of me. You played 70 games for Ghana.
Seven,
I mean,
seven, just seven.
you played 70 games for the Ghana national team. You scored one goal. Of course, you are not a striker, you're not a forward, so we don't expect goals from you. And you
But I'm
provided five
still, let me
assists.
catch you there. I'm still disappointed in myself, though.
Oh,
I
really?
could have.
Why
Yeah, I'm really
you
disappointed
should
in
have more
myself.
goals?
I could have done so much better, like scoring as a center back. Obviously, yeah. Oh, you are a defender, so no, no, no. But it's I would say it's extra value to your team, whichever team that
Mm.
may be, whether it's your club side or. the national team, because if a centre back can score, that's an extra
Plus,
value that you
Yeah, of
add to your
course,
team.
of
Obviously,
course.
you do whatever you do defensively for the team, but if you are able to score a few goals, that
Yeah.
is, but I gave few assists to John Boy though, so that boy owe me. That boy owe me.
2 assists to John Boy, brilliant stuff.
I
Yeah,
assisted that
yeah.
guy so many times.
Right. But also, I mean, when we're talking about your trajectory with the national team, Sitso, were you making a point?
I was pulling Jonas' legs there. He said he assisted John Boy
Yeah.
Yeah.
twice. Then he said he assisted him so many times.
No,
I'm
I
like,
said so many. What's your problem? Even if it's two, even if it's one, it's so many for me.
So
Allow me.
you see, in Jonas' books, 2 is many. Sitso, please allow him.
Oh,
He
two is
assisted so
many.
many times.
What?
And
You
you
don't
have
know.
done your research and you know it's just twice. To him, it's a lot. Why are you disturbing the man?
Too many.
Anyway,
What?
let's so the thing is, fill us in, because you played with the Ghana under 20 team that won the
Mm-hmm.
World Cup. The World Cup, beating Brazil. And I mean, at the time, the entire country had not just yours, but the key players in the under 20. Your names were on everyone's lips. Andrea, you, Ajimambedu, yourself, Samuel Lincoln. Everybody was proud of you. Did you think that quite shortly after that you were going to be featuring in the 2010 Senior World Cup? Because that is a big step up.
Everything happened so fast, and as much as it happened that way, I believe it was the right moment,
Right.
in my opinion, because the senior national team's coach was monitoring us, was watching us, probably sent few guys to watch us, and he was at the finals actually in Egypt. So he came into the locker room after the game and congratulated us, and he was explaining how significant this moment was, not
Okay.
just for us but for the nation and for the continent, because we were
Hmm.
the first and only African country to have
Yeah.
won that.
first and only,
Yeah.
first and
The
only.
First and
only, yeah.
only.
We
Yeah.
wanted Ghana to be the second with the squad, Asifwa, the squad, for that
Yeah,
Yeah,
one.
that didn't
Yeah,
yeah,
work out.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
no, that. No, they
2013, yeah.
finished third, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
He finished third.
So yeah,
They won
so
bronze.
Yeah.
it was an incredible moment for us, and like I said, I wasn't expecting us to jump that quick, but it was the right moment for us to sort of join the national team at that time, the
Situ,
senior national.
I'll let you come in there. But I wanted to ask him though, when it wasn't just you, it was ADI, it was all the other guys that I mentioned before who were promoted
Yeah,
into the team. But there's an interesting story. There's a story that Milovan Rajevac, who was a Black Stars coach at the time, played you guys against the senior team like Asian, Muntari, Stephen Apia, those boys, and you guys impressed him so much. He wasn't even on the pitch; he was watching from somewhere high up. Can you walk us through that story and how you guys got to be selected? That was
so
like the
this
final
was
selection, right?
in camp, national team camp. You mean?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. The national team camp. I think at the time the ESCO had Randy Abe, Kwesi Nyantechi, all those guys.
Wait, Thierry, wait. So right now
Okay.
there is that story.
Yeah.
Can you confirm me that story is true? Did the coach ever set the two teams aside?
Oh,
Maybe
wait,
the more
wait.
established
So
Black Stars
was
players.
this before we went to the 2010 World Cup?
Yes, yeah, that was before the final selection. That was when he
Yes.
Oh,
dropped like
okay.
you remember that
Okay.
story?
This story is actually had a little twist to it, because out of all the young guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this who was the only guy to play for the senior squad.
You?
I was the only one.
Yo,
Oh,
yo.
really?
So you had your selection
I was,
already?
yes.
So
I was
wait.
the only
When
one
so
that
when the so
played
when the
with
youngsters were separated from the oldies, you actually played
yeah,
with the senior team. You
played
played
with
for them.
I know, for some reason, I don't know, maybe John Mensah was injured, or he was, I don't know, but I was
So
the only one
before
that
the final
played.
selection, you already pre-selected.
I know. I
That's
don't
what it
I
means.
don't think that was the case. I would say yeah, I don't know um if my memory serves me right, it might be John Mensah was actually
Injured.
almost recovered from a knock or something that was happening,
Right.
and then I played with the first team. Oh, and I remember Prince Tego was flying, Dominic Dia flying.
They were all coming at you.
Yeah, they were coming at me because I was the only one in
Yeah.
the midst of Ricardo and all the senior players, John Pinto and all that. And man,
Yeah,
these young guys were flying. And yeah, that was the final game, old versus young. But obviously, I was the old one in the experienced squad. I should
Yeah.
say. And yeah, lucky enough, my my name was in the final squad.
The final squad, I hear there was like a lot of issues around it because Milo said he was dropping some senior figures. The GFA were
Mm,
like, how do we communicate this to Ghanaians? How do we tell them
right.
Stephen Appiah and Lai Kingston are not going for the World Cup? But I mean, what was it like for you players? Did you get to, were you part of
Um,
this drama?
like
Were
I
you,
said, as the young guys, I was just glad, and I was just proud of obviously the young guys that we joined the team. I was so proud of the way we comported ourselves, the way
exactly.
we worked extremely hard. Um, we were just having fun and all that. So I wasn't in the squad. I was like, man, I'm glad I was here, and even if you go home, you were in the provisional list, and that's huge. But at the same time, I was telling myself, I'm here, so why not?
Right. Right.
So the squad is gonna come, and the squad came like very late in the evening, around midnight, something like that. But I was just enjoying my my night. I believe with Daniel J, and someone called us from Ghana that the list came out and you guys are in the squad. And I'm like, wait, like how come you guys already have the squad in Ghana? We here are still waiting for the squad. And I'm like, hey, if someone is saying my name is in the squad, I'm grateful.
Right.
So let's see what happens when the final squad come out. But senior player here, experienced player here. Oh, this guy isn't gonna make it. I had no no issue with that. That was out of my control, and I was
Of
I was
course.
glad that I was able to be part of
And
the
again,
team.
you are the one benefiting, so why would you have any issue with that? Sisha, do you have any question for Jonathan before I move on to his club career? I mean, the thing is, we have so many opportunities with Jonathan, so we can definitely ask him, sharing his career and all that. But for this episode, we just want to tease our listeners a bit on who we have on the podcast and just how important it's been to Ghana football. And not just that, but to the United States with Major League Soccer as well. We'll be talking about that very shortly. But Sicho, please step in.
I mean, we see a lot of footballers these days. They talk about being in a in a social media community with players they played with in a certain age category or year group. I want to take you back to that 2009 under 20 team.
Mhm.
Are you guys still in touch? Do you have a WhatsApp group that all the squad is there? Do you guys communicate? Do you go back the memory lane to talk about life or tease each other and some of the things? Because remember, there was a red card in the final. There's a red card in the last 16.
Mhm.
Opoku Ajima just come on, he got a red card.
Right.
Do you have this community where you link up?
We do have a group chat that we do talk there. Um, but honestly speaking, it's not as active as we would.
It's not vibrant.
Yeah, it's not.
Ah, that's a
Yeah,
shame. That's a shame because you guys look like a solid group. For many Ghanaians, at some point, the Ghanaians are like, can we just shift that entire team to replace the Black Stars? But the good news for us at the time was the Black Stars had a lot of quality, so it's a
right.
good blend.
This the group is still there. The chat is there. We talk once in a while, um, but it's more individually. Like connect with someone, you talk to them about. We
Yeah.
didn't talk much about life on the platform for some reason. I don't know why, but we obviously made fun of each other. We talk. Sometimes we talk about life once in a while, but it wasn't consistent as
Consistent.
it
Yeah.
should be. But we always connect with each other, individually on a personal level, and know what's going
Who is your closest pal from that group? I mean, my final one on that one, then Thierry can take it over. Who's your closest pal from that group?
on. Ooh, wow. If you name names, then you're like, oh, hey, my guys, that makes
So you know my guy, you
oh,
know
you see how we know
No,
my guy,
but I mean, those who are not close to you will not take any
yeah.
offense because I mean they know they're not close
No,
to
I know. That's why. That's no. I'm always like this with them and all that.
you. Yeah.
I think we were all tight, but of course we do have the two, three groups that were always tight. But I would say,
obviously. Yeah.
someone that I still talk to right now on a daily basis, I would say Daniel J.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, Daniel J. Because obviously, he played behind me. He
yeah,
sees behind me. So
yeah.
yeah,
we connected on
yeah.
that level. I do talk to Ransford to say a little bit more as well.
Hey,
I
captain,
beg,
your
I
captain.
beg
He was a captain in the African Championship, and then Andre came to captain in
right.
the World Cup.
I beg Kukwanta as
Yeah.
well. I do talk
Right.
to him.
Hey, what a winger.
Pukwa Jiman,
Charlie, they mentioned names, pal.
Rabiu Mohammed,
Rabi Mohammed.
Rabiu. Yeah. He's my guy. Like I played with him in France actually.
Right,
We played
right,
in the same
right.
team in France. So yeah, he's my guy. And
But I mean, at this rate, you're mentioning the whole team, Jonah. He asked for one name.
no, like I said, he's one guy.
Yeah,
Like
one
I
guy.
said, I do communicate with these guys most of the time.
Okay,
Right now, even
okay.
right now, yeah.
Right.
And who else?
And it's good to know you link up with a lot
Yeah,
of
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I
players.
do.
It's good to know you
that
link
to
up.
me is the biggest takeaway from that because it means that you didn't have.
I do.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
struggling to name one person, means that you were a very
It
personable
means,
person
yeah,
in a very tense
there's
dressing room.
something.
But let's move on,
Yeah.
Jonathan, because I have here in front of me the teams you played for. You started off in Ashanti Gold between 2007 to 2008.
Yep.
You then moved to Free State Stars. You went to Italy after that. After the 2010 World Cup, you moved to Udinese, and then you spent a bit of time in Spain with Granada
Yep.
on loan,
Yes.
and then you played for Evian. You
Mm-hmm.
in 2016 you moved to Anji Makashkala in Russia. Evian is in
Mm-hmm.
France anyway, and then you moved to
Yes.
Russia in 2016, and then from 2017 was when you began spending time in the United States. So your first club was the Columbus Crew, and then the San Jose Earthquakes was in 2023. And
Yep.
then after that,
Mhm.
you were there for just a year, and then you moved to
Yeah.
New England Revolution in the Northeast.
Yep.
I'm looking at these clubs, and you spent the most time playing 159 games for Columbus Crew, a club where you at a point became the captain of. My question to you is, what's your most
Uh,
favorite club of all the teams that I've mentioned?
wow. I would say
Udine sporting director is watching the pod anyway. Did that put more pressure on you?
no. There's no pressure. Like
Bro,
playing in front
which
of
which
playing in front of
which club left
90,000.
the mark on your heart?
No, like this is
Nah,
no
no
pressure
pressure.
at all. I'm the type that don't feel no pressure at all when I'm talking. I don't like the camera. When the camera is in front of me, I don't like it. But I'm the type that
Yeah, camera shy.
no, I'm not. Yeah, camera shy, but I'm pressure no.
Well, well,
Pressure no day.
from
This one
now,
will be
from
pressure.
now, you should start getting used to the camera because you're going to be doing this pod every week.
This one.
Hey,
But I would say,
Yeah, quickly.
I'll do Columbus, and then I'll go with Granada, and then I'll go with
obviously,
Russia.
Columbus Crew.
I
Obviously,
don't know why you kept so
obviously,
long in mentioning Columbus Crew.
obviously,
We all know Columbus Crew is your first love.
obviously.
But
Bro, you're the
I need
captain.
to.
You won everything in MLS with them. Damn.
No, but you know,
But Jonathan though,
to qualify to the La Liga is a big thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
You know,
It's massive.
of course.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's why
but
you
yeah,
mentioned Canada. But playing for
yes,
Udinese wasn't bad as
yeah.
well. But also, let me just chip this in. Jonathan actually scored 14 goals in his club career, 14 goals, and had 5 assists. 14 goals and 5 assists for a defender. It's not so bad.
Player,
Across his career, player, dear player. But you see, let me just say this though: if my mother allowed me to play professional football as a striker, I was Jonathan. I am telling you, you would not have stood a test of time. I'm telling you.
You roast him, man.
The
Oh my god!
guys that are always
Like
sort of
just
like
go down,
coming at
someone. Go down, someone.
hey
Go and
you
test it.
played ball. Hey, like I could dribble you. They always say they be strikers. They always
No,
say they are strikers.
I
But
never said I'll
but
dribble
the
you.
winger,
All I said was you no go stand. You as a defender, you can't stop me. I can't name
I
one
beg.
defender that has stopped me in my semi-pro football career.
Hey,
So
what
you see all these numbers you have there. That's okay. You can just keep them.
what team you play for?
You see, the team I played for doesn't matter. It's not. That is not
It
the.
does. It does. If
That's
it's
not
a
what we are discussing right
semi-pro,
now.
Is that the
Like
we
I'm
can
saying, my
find
mother
that
didn't
team.
allow me to go
Semi-pro.
pro. My mom didn't allow me to go pro. If I went pro, I'd have met the likes of you. And maybe these numbers will not have been mentioning them because I will end your career. You understand? Anyway, you are still listening to the FC Pitch Side podcast with me, Thierry, and I've been doing this with Jonathan Mensah and Philip Sitso. We are done with the first segment. We'll be right back discussing the state of Ghana football. What we are looking at is we want to understand how it is that Ghana does so poorly or did so poorly with the AFCON qualifiers, but have been extremely brilliant with the World Cup qualifiers. Maybe Jonathan Mensah may have some answers. Sicho obviously has been analyzing this the whole time it's been going on. So we'll be right back talking Ghana football.
You are listening to FC Pitchside Podcast, part of the Footy Center lineup and powered by Ultra Press Media Company.
Welcome back to FC Pitchside Podcast. Again, this is the maiden edition, and I'm excited to bring you this first episode. I've been doing this with Philip Sitso Atsrim. I'll just call him Sitso. 3 names. Why? And then also Jonathan Mensah. I'll call him Joe. Henceforth, if you hear Joe and Sitso, you know who I'm referring to. Now, we want to get into the state of Ghana football, like I mentioned before the break, and I have some very interesting results in front of me. So, the AFCON qualifiers. Ghana started against Angola. We lost by a goal to nil. We played against Niger. We drew 1-1. We drew 0-0 against Sudan. Kwesi appears Sudan. We went there and then we were beaten by 2-0, and they played a draw in Ghana. And then we drew again against Angola 1-1. And then we lost to Niger by 2-1. Sitso, I'll start with you. Walk me through these results and just how it went from bad to worse, because this is not the kind of results you associate with Ghana football.
You've just opened some terrible wounds because it still hurts. The Ghana won't play at the AFCON, and I remember all of these games because I was fortunate enough to work on all those games when they were happening. And it was one bad performance after the other. I think what this team couldn't cope with was the pressure from Ghanaians,
Okay.
and the pressure from all over the world. At some point,
But Sitso, the pressure is always there. I mean, it's Ghana. I mean, you're playing for Ghana. So if the players couldn't cope with the pressure of playing for Ghana, what else can they cope with? Because Ghana national team in Africa is top 5, top 3 even. So if you cannot deal with the pressure,
Right now,
no, I don't mean right now. I'm saying historically. So if you cannot deal with that, then you have no business wearing a shirt.
that's a statement of fact. But the
Right.
reality is that during that AFCON qualifiers, we had a group of players who didn't have big personalities and characters in them. And the Black Stars have always been known to be a team full of characters, real fighters, real leaders.
Exactly.
You could have a Black Star team and name 6 different captains in the team. Like, I mean, John Mensah could be captain as well as Olele. In that same team, Stephen Appiah can captain, ACN can captain.
Michael Essien can be captain.
Asamoah Gyan Muntari can captain. Lai Kenson can captain, right? So you have a team and Stephen Appiah is the captain. But every single one in that team is a leader. But we had a Black Stars team during this AFCON qualifiers where there were many, many players coming into the Black Star team, feeling the weight of the shirt and not performing well. But I want to slightly differentiate between AFCON qualifiers and World Cup qualifiers. Look, on the continent, many countries place premium on qualifying to the AFCON than qualifying to the World Cup. That sounds strange, but that is a fact. Because going to the AFCON is the more achievable target for many teams you consider minnows.
Right.
So when you play the teams you consider minnows, for them, their World Cup is the AFCON.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The biggest competition they can play in is getting to the AFCON.
Mm.
In the World Cup, they know it's going to be Morocco, it's going to be Ghana, it's going to be Nigeria, it's going to be Egypt. Name them. They know the usual suspects who are likely to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So most of these teams put all their eggs in the AFCON basket.
True.
So if you're not top notch in the AFCON qualifiers, you're going to be found wanted. So a lot of all of that and then many of the things I've already spoken about came together to give us a poor campaign. And also, Otto was fresh, now learning about his team, even learning about himself.
Was he
and
fresh
couldn't
though?
make it to
Sitso,
the
no, hold
AFCON
on.
painfully. But
He wasn't fresh. He knows this team. Remember, he qualified Ghana with
No.
about 2 or 3 games to the 2022 World Cup. He's familiar with the players.
yes,
He invited a lot of these players,
So
gave
the
them their
difference
meeting, their debuts as well. So, I mean, how was he
That's
new to
true.
the team? I think
So
that's
the-
just
so
one of
the
those
difference is-
excuses to for Otuado. I don't think he was new to the team.
I don't necessarily think it's an excuse. Yes, he helped Ghana qualify with a game against Nigeria. Credit to him. Played at the World Cup, then came to play some friendly games, and
Yeah.
then the first World Cup qualifiers he played, the 2 back to the Mali games
Yes.
that he played, and he won that Mali game, and there was another game that he won. But you see, coaching on the African continent can be very different. So when I say Otto was learning about himself and learning about the job, I'm looking at the fact that Otto had come into the African terrain,
Right.
and he was now learning the ins and outs of African football, right? Because Otto wanted a lot of things. Play like Borussia Dortmund, keep the ball on the turf. But the pitches you're going to play on is not the same as what you used to have in Germany. So Otto to be honest, Otto didn't have a backlog of experience to come into the job, to be honest with him or to him.
Which is true.
But now that he got the job, he had to take a bit of time.
Right.
Yeah, he had to take a bit of time to understand African football, understand the different kind of opponents that he had. And these games are not one-offs. It's a series of games for qualifiers. And maybe, just maybe, with time or by now, he understands what it means to compete on the continent.
Jonathan, let me come to you. What did it feel like knowing or seeing the Black Stars play so poorly in the AFCON qualifiers, knowing very well that you've been part of a group that consistently qualified without stopping, without pausing?
To add to the point, or maybe highlight the point Sitso made, he couldn't have said it any better than that. Because to some other teams in the African Cup qualifiers, that is
Right.
the ultimate for them.
Okay.
And looking at the World Cup qualifiers, it's only the first team that is qualifying. Now I believe it's first and second. Second will go play playoffs, whatever that
Yeah.
may be. But
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for some teams to be able to qualify. They have never got into, let's say, even third place before, so they count that out. But the AFCON, they know it's a must for them. First 2 teams qualify to the African Cup, so they are going to do everything they can to make it there. But when it comes to the World Cup qualifiers, I would say when it comes to Ghana, the sense of urgency is a little different.
Why do you say that?
In qualifying for the first World Cup 2006, they were like, hey, we had the squad to go do well. We made it out of the group. So now that's where the bar was set. Now you can only do better. You need to qualify. Qualification was a must.
Yeah.
That was how high.
Yeah, so
the standard
that's why
was.
I want to come to, because during your time, the qualification was never a problem. Ghanaians knew
Mm.
the Black Stars will
Yep.
qualify for the AFCON.
Will
It
qualify.
was, are
Yep.
you bringing the trophy home? This has never been in the minds of Ghanaians that
Mhm.
will we even qualify for the AFCON? Are we going to play at the
Right.
AFCON? It's never been a question. The question had been,
Exactly.
how high are we going to
When are we
finish
going
this
to
time?
bring the trophy
Yes,
home?
because we,
Yeah.
we had finished second a few times, we had finished third a few times, we had missed out
Mm-hmm.
marginally on the trophy a couple of times.
Yeah.
How? I mean, that was 2010 when we lost to Egypt by a goal to nil. In 2015, losing to Ivory Coast via penalty shootout. We know how close we had come. The question always was,
Yep.
how? When was it going to be that Ghana actually won the
Right.
trophy? But for it to be,
Exactly.
for us to go so far back as asking ourselves if we can even qualify for the tournament, that's a problem.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say not qualifying is the major problem, right? But what led to that need to be addressed
Right.
because maybe because the last African we went that we didn't progress like Ghana when we go to AFCON usually semifinals it was a must.
Minimum, yeah.
Semifinals
Yeah.
minimum it
Yeah.
was a must. And let's see, 2019 was the first time we didn't make it to the semifinals. I don't think we even got to the quarter. It was
Yeah.
Tunisia that beat us
That
penalty
was,
shootout
yeah, that
in
that
Egypt.
was another
Yeah.
tournament. Ghanaians were waiting for you
Yeah,
at the airport.
Yeah.
exactly. And then the next one, 19. Now the next one was in Cameroon. We didn't even make it out of the group.
Out of the group, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
so
then the
is it safe to say that it was a developing problem?
oh yes, it was because like I said before the bar was set so high that semifinals was the minimum. Mo dem wan kwaya de cry, like some of the fans who say, mo dem wan kwaya de cry, mo dem unko semifinals ne na mo brave yes.
Right.
So it was like a norm for the fans, football fans in Ghana. It was like, hey, semifinals, anya de cry semifinals, mo
Right.
the medal bebe fee. So going to 2017, I think we got to the 2017. Wait, yeah, we did play. I think third and fourth against Burkina Faso. We lost.
At that game, the referee gave you a lot of goodies. Still, you couldn't win.
But you know what was
Man,
even more striking? That the previous edition was 2015. We were in the final, lost by the last kick.
Yep.
Anybody who watched that tournament will remember. Is it Javino and his plastic chair,
Yeah,
looking away from
you
the
couldn't
penalty
watch
yeah,
it.
shootout,
You couldn't
and
win.
uh-huh.
just how terrible it was in the next tournament. Jonathan, what really happens? Let me digress just a little bit. What happens in the dressing room and what happens in camp? What would you say was very different when the Black Stars were soaring so high from what was happening in camp when things began going bad? All the bad blood between the key players, did it play a part? Was it the ineptitude of the coaches, technically and tactically? Is it the togetherness in the squad? Is it the player psyche? Is it confidence? Is it quality that we eventually lost? It's a lot of factors that I've mentioned here. But per your experience, having been through the group that kept doing great and the group that
Mm.
kept failing, what was the difference?
You made some great points where you hit on some points where okay, was it tactically, was it from some of the key players, was it from preparation, was it
Right.
from the technical stuff? It's a little bit of everything. I would say you cannot pinpoint and say, oh, this was the issue because a squad that we went to the finals with, it was maybe one or two changes in the 17 squad.
Okay.
Obviously, we got to the semifinals. It didn't happen for us. We lost in the semis, and then we played in the
Lost to Cameroon 2-0.
third and fourth. I remember, yeah, the counter attack.
Yeah. They killed us on the
They
counter.
did. They did. They, like I said, maybe you're gonna point, the scouting team. We didn't scout properly. We didn't defend well. So
Yeah.
all these elements obviously added up to us. Like talk of 2015, we were obviously we didn't win it, but we were the best team in the tournament.
Yeah.
We we killed every team.
Two
Obviously
tournaments,
losing the
two, two
first.
tournaments have made me cry as a journalist. 2010 World Cup
2015.
and that
Okay.
and that quarterfinal loss to Uruguay,
Uruguay. And then the
2015,
final.
and the final in
Final.
2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like going into the tournament, one of the best preparations Ghana has ever had. Maybe from from our point of view or from our perspective, because we had one of the best trainers out there, Jamie Lawrence, and his story even motivated the whole team because he's gone through so much, and then
Right.
he was able to overcome all that and play in the Premiership. That was a motivation on its own. So he was preparing the team. The first game we actually lost against Senegal 2-1, and the guys were like, okay, Munyana Mumbrefie and all that.
Yeah.
But then, we were we were actually getting ready to do something great for the
Right.
country. So the next game we actually won against South Africa 2-1. It was we were losing actually. We were losing 1-0. Beautiful
Was it a
goal
game, Andrea,
from
you scored?
Andre scored the
Yeah.
equalizer, and then
Andrew
John Boy
scored, yeah.
scored the winner.
Did you give John Boy the assist in that game?
It was one of Jonathan Mensah's mini assists.
Mhm. It was one of those assists where I say, "Quite John Boy, yeah, yeah, no, I will go. Yeah, that is an assist. If you don't know, that be why I think the assists be plenty. Where
Oh,
I
so
say,
that's why in your
hey,
head it was
what you
mini
do for
assists.
your go score goals?
Oh, I get it now.
That
So
be
even
assists. People
even
don't
when
know.
you verbally encourage a player to go score a
Yes,
goal,
that's an assist.
that's an
But some
assist.
people don't know. Yes,
Oh, even me, I didn't know.
yes.
I'm not learning.
People say, yeah, yeah, go and score. I did back for you. I did back for you. Because sometimes as a
Yeah,
center back, you go overlapping where you tire. Where corner kick come, no, you won't go again. You for be smart. So you go talk, you're gonna communicate with
Yeah,
your
I
back
mean,
and
we
say,
understand all that you are saying. The explanation you
yeah,
are giving, we understand. We take it,
yeah,
but
they
we are
do.
telling
They
you
do.
that it factually it does not count as an assist, and we are not taking any more on the assist
Yes,
subject.
those
so,
those,
so, so anyway,
those on the stat sheet
yeah,
counts.
yeah.
Like
yeah. So that would count for encouragement and motivation. It doesn't count for assist.
yes,
Anyway,
it's an
so
assist, my guy.
so
I did
so
tell you.
so, so let's go back. Let's go back to the main conversation point. The Black Stars didn't qualify for
Yeah,
the AFCON, or had not qualified for the AFCON
yeah.
11 times in the history of Ghana. It started in
Okay.
1962, in 1972, 10 years after. And that was even crazy because very shortly after, we won the AFCON.
You want it.
We didn't qualify in
Yeah.
1974. We didn't qualify in 76. We didn't qualify in 86. Now, 86 is after, it's 4 years after we won our last AFCON, which was in 1982. We didn't
Yeah.
qualify in 1988. We didn't qualify in 1990. If you guys remember, Abedi Pele's era and all the issues, the drama around the
That
Black
was when
Stars.
that was when I was born.
And then we didn't qualify in 2004. Now, the 2004 one is very, very important. Now, I want to stay on that for just a second because 2004 started.
Tunisia?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And
Tunisia.
that is what started the golden era of the Black Stars. Because if you remember,
Right.
when we didn't qualify for 2004, we did qualify for 2006 and we disgraced ourselves. Remember the Zimbabwe 3-0, 3-0-3-1
Yeah.
Yeah.
defeat? After that, we made that was when the golden generation began. That's when we qualified for the World Cup for the first time. We started
Mm-hmm.
getting to very, very high levels in the AFCON
Yep.
consistently. We also continue to appear in the World Cup. If you look at the fact that our failure to qualify for the AFCON was 70s and 80s and 90s. Only
Mm-hmm.
twice since the turn of the century have we failed to qualify, and that's 2004 and this current one.
Yeah.
It begs the question. It's either we are taking a leaf from that book in 2006,
Mhm.
that we are learning from the mistake in 2004, just like we are going to be learning from the mistake in 2025, or we are going to continue sinking. What signs do you guys see?
I believe obviously we do have another chance, with it's not the same, but we do have another chance with the World Cup
Which
qualifiers.
is a bigger platform?
Well, it is. So That's a sort of like, how do I put it? Redeem yourself, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, we're gonna redeem ourselves.
You
I'm
believe
talking
we
as
are?
I believe we are. Like, obviously, we haven't qualified yet. We
Of
have to
course.
finish the job.
Yeah.
We need to qualify and be like, okay, we're on top now, but we need to keep winning our games.
Yeah.
You qualify, okay. People won't forget that you didn't make AFCON. It's only gonna hit when the AFCON starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you don't see da 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 da, you don't hear that national anthem, you missed out big time. And this group of players could have done something great, but if you don't qualify, you don't get the chance to compete. So
Okay.
now it's time to redeem yourself, qualify for the World Cup, and
Yeah.
come and do something great in the World Cup. So we'll see.
Okay. Right. Sitso, let me ask you: if you look at the results Ghana have
Yeah.
churned in the World Cup qualifiers, it is the sharp contrast to what we've done in the AFCON qualifiers. We've beaten
Yep.
Madagascar by a goal to
Yeah.
nil. We lost to Comoros by a goal to nil. We beat Mali by 2 goals to 1. We beat Central African Republic by 4 goals to 3. We also
Mhm.
won
Yeah.
against Chad by 5 goals to 0,
We beat Chad.
and then we
Yeah.
beat Madagascar 3-0. We have 4 games remaining: away to Chad, at home to Mali, away to Central African Republic, and then also at home to Comoros. Are these winnable based on the form you've seen and the form of the opposition teams I just mentioned?
Yeah. I think they are winnable. And Otuado has got 100% record in the World Cup
Long
qualifiers.
may it continue.
The game that we lost in the World Cup qualifier was under Chris Hughton.
Yeah.
Since Otto took over, he's been scoring a lot of goals in the World Cup qualifiers. So if you look at the form table, you're thinking, okay, the Black Stars can go on and get the job done. They might not necessarily win the rest of the games, but they'll get enough points on the board to take us through. I think the most crucial game in there would be the Mali game as well,
Okay.
because they are one of those teams who can go on a run. But I don't want them to start their run with winning against you. You want to halt them. Then you go on and take the points from somewhere else. Or they have to go and take the points from somewhere else while you progress. Also, when you ask Jonathan about if this generation could spark, the golden generation from 2005
Right.
downward, 2006 downward. I think globally in football, we must also look at the fact that every country has a cycle. It doesn't matter how long a spell they had successful,
Mm-hmm.
but that success is always going to come to an
Yep.
end. The difference will be how low you sink before you come up
Mm.
again.
Right.
I think for Ghana
And
stand now,
how
we are sinking
long
too
you
low, and that's
stay
the worry.
sunk.
And how long you stay, down there. We don't look at a team like Brazil. We look at teams like Argentina. They went on long droughts, and
Yep.
that wasn't because they didn't have good players. They had good
Yep.
players, but it was still on a drought, right? Brazil, England now are on some droughts.
Mm.
They have good players from different generations. They are on some drought. We've seen Spain now. They were on a drought. They've been successful. Now Italy have a diaspora. Even Germany,
Germany.
right?
Germany.
That is because you are going to find a formula that works for some
In
period,
time. Yep.
for some spell, for some era,
Okay.
and very soon that is going to become outdated, or teams or countries are going to have better formulas than what you have.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you realize that formula and you're trying to fine tune it, there'll be some countries ahead
Ahead
of
of
you.
you.
So for now in Africa, Senegal are ahead of us. When we were ahead of Senegal years ago, they are now ahead of us
Yeah.
because they found a different formula we've not found.
Yep.
Morocco are ahead of us.
Yeah.
Even Morocco now are ahead of Egypt.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, Egypt were by far ahead
Ahead
of
of them.
Morocco.
Yeah. Even
So it's
even
a
five
football
years ago.
cycle. And
Yeah.
even 5 years ago, yeah. So, but they found a formula that is working very well for them. Croatia in Europe were nowhere near a lot of countries. Now they are so far advanced
Yep.
ahead of some countries in the last 10 years or so.
True.
So it happens. But now for Ghana, we need to quickly get the job done to keep us not so long where we are sinking to get us back with a different formula, different routine, a different style.
This is the FC Pitchside podcast with me, Thierry, and I'm doing this with Jonathan Mensah and Sitso at Trim. We'll definitely be back discussing the UEFA Champions League because it's been a big week for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, Thomas Partey, and Declan Rice. They cooked. They didn't just cook rice. They cooked wins. They cooked goals. not just at the Emirates, but also at
Arsenal
the
brought rice
Bernabeu.
to the party. Arsenal brought rice
They
to the
brought rice
party.
to the party. I
Arsenal
like that. I
brought
like
rice
that. I
to the
like that.
party.
So Declan Rice attended Thomas Partey's party. Anyway,
Ghana rice. You have to be specific though. Ghana
it
rice.
was Ghana rice, eh?
Arsenal brought
It was
Ghana
Ghana
rice.
rice. It was Klopp.
Ghana
Call it
rice.
however you want to call it. We'll be right back after the break.
This is the FC Pitchside Podcast, the first in an exciting lineup of podcasts by Footy Centre. Footy Centre is where you'd read your intriguing opinions and daily stories about football. From Europe's biggest leagues, the Champions League, international matches, and for Ghanaian fans, get closer to your favorite national teams.
Welcome back. You're still with us here on the FC Pitchside Podcast. I don't know where you're doing the listening or the viewing. If you're viewing, then it must be on YouTube. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast, what you can do is just to rate us 5-star and leave a comment. We want to hear what you have to say, your feedback on this podcast, whatever you have to say about all the submissions the gentlemen have made so far, and what you think about the pod. It's been an eventful 2 weeks for Thomas Partey. Everybody knows he is a great player, but it looks as if in the last 2 weeks, he's been one of the most discussed players. And it's because of his performance for Arsenal against Real Madrid. We all know what Real Madrid brings to the table when it is the UEFA Champions League. This season, they couldn't. And it's because Arsenal and Mikel Arteta stood in their way. Thomas Partey played a part. Let me start with you, Jonathan. How proud have you been watching Thomas Partey? I mean, a colleague of yours, a fellow Ghana international, seeing him do so well in the Champions League.
He played 90 minutes. Pass accuracy was 100%. 21 for
Right.
21. 7 ground duels won. 1 key pass. 1 dribble. 3 shots defended. 3 total tackles. What else you need to prepare your Ghana jollof?
Man has got his stats.
What else you need?
Got your stats.
What else you need to
Jonah
prepare
came
your Ghana
loaded.
jollof? What else you need to
That's
prepare your Ghana jollof when you have rice? Proper rice. Come on.
I saw a meme on social media. The Bernabeu Stadium had been opened like a rice cooker, and it was
Bro,
filled
that
with
was
rice.
sick.
That is a picture I would never forget.
That was sick.
That was a sick
But,
photo.
but on a more serious note,
Yeah.
we knew Thomas was one of the great midfielders
Okay.
in the world at that time when Arsenal signed him. Obviously, we know some other people had their doubts and all that because he hadn't played for Arsenal at that time. Oh, Arsenal is a bigger club. Let's go. Let's see. But now he's proven it,
Yeah.
and
On the
he
bigger
keeps
stage.
doing it on the bigger stage. Exactly, and he's one of the best players I've played with.
I like to hear that.
Like, yeah,
What
his
is Partey like in camp though? People wonder what he's like in camp
yeah, he
behind the
doesn't.
scenes.
Yeah, he doesn't talk much. Just like on the field, you don't see him talk much. He will just come eat. Obviously, yeah, we joke around and all that, but he doesn't talk much. He'll be in his room. But when he's on the field, if you're that good, you don't need to talk. Like, just press on your qualities, and he's that guy. Like his IQ for the game, he will, like, let's say as a center back, I will have the ball, and he know that if I'm looking here, the pass can come. He's someone that don't just read the game off of his game. He read the game off of someone else's game. Like he read the game off of uh, Odegaard, Rice.
Yeah.
If Rice is making this movement, he's gonna make this move, and he reads the game like Pelo said. We kick with the foot, but we play with the head. That's Thomas. He play with the head so much.
Right.
So he see things we don't see. Obviously, sometimes I'll see him look here, he play the ball here. Because I know his game.
Hmm.
He's so good. And I'm glad he's buzzing on the big stage in the world.
That's fantastic. Sitso, your thoughts on Thomas Partey and Arsenal beating Real Madrid very quickly, and then we can move on and wrap up the episode.
Credit to Arsenal, they showed great character. When you go to the Bernabeu in the Champions League and you miss a penalty, you have a goal, offside goal chalked off against you. If you're not mentally strong and you don't have the character, it can crush your momentum and
Team spirit.
whatever you want to do in the game, team spirit. But on Thomas Partey, I think that his quality has never been in doubt. What we've not seen enough of was Thomas playing on this stage.
Mm.
And that is why I always want, for example, we know Jonah is a great defender, right?
Yeah.
But he went to the MLS. He's done it. He's done it in the MLS. He's won. He's won. He's gone to the playoff stage. He's played there. He's excelled. So that is the difference. Everybody would know you are good. But if you have not done it at the highest stage on the
The
competition in
doubts will
which
still
you play,
linger, right?
there's always going to be a question mark over you. Absolutely. But this is Thomas now doing it at the highest level in the UEFA Champions League against the best players in the world, against Mbappe, against Bellingham, against Valverde, against name them,
Luka
Tchouaméni.
Modric.
These are proper world class.
Right.
Look at Modric, right? And so that is what sets you apart as a footballer. Wherever you play, if you are able to do it at the highest level, then everybody now accepts that genuinely you are good.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that Thomas is going to finally get that world acclaim that he deserves, because we have always known he's great, but showing it at this level makes me even more excited. And I'm pissed off that Thomas will play that first leg in that semi-final.
Talk about that. I mean, to that point, Arsenal play Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final, and then Barcelona, will also be taking on Inter Milan in the other semi-final of the UEFA Champions League. So that should definitely be very, very interesting, semi-final matchup. And also, just so you know, Barcelona last won it in 2015. Inter Milan last won it in 2010. But on the other side, Arsenal and PSG have never won it. So it is one side who have won it, but about a decade ago at a minimum,
Right.
and on the other side, nobody has won it. So I think it's really interesting.
Thierry, to spice it, whenever the Allianz Arena has hosted the Champions League final, a new winner has been crowned.
So you're saying whoever wins the Arsenal PSG wins the Champions League. Wow. Anyway, Carlo Ancelotti told Mikel Arteta after the game that he hopes Arsenal wins the Champions League. And I don't know if it's because he is a side that knocked out his team, and so he wants that team to be champion, or if he saw something in the Arsenal team that makes him think Arsenal can win it. We wait to see. Ancelotti, obviously, Don Carlo, top guy, supremo. When he calls it, we'll listen, because he's seen it all in the world of football. But quickly, we're about wrapping up in the next couple of minutes. Before I do that, I've got a few questions for my guys here before we wrap up. And this is the player zigzag. It is our own game show. And what we do is I'll tell them the trajectory of a player, okay, by mentioning the clubs the player has played for without telling them who the player is. All that they are supposed to do is to guess who the player is. Whoever gets it right first time wins it. And by popular request, when I say popular, it's Jonathan Mensah's request. He says he doesn't want 3 questions. He wants 5. So I'm going to give them 5. So 5 is what you have. First, and we're doing this quickly. 5. So the first is, this guy started his professional career playing for Liberty Professionals. So clearly that tells you he's Ghanaian. He moved on from there and went straight to Udinese. After that, he played for
Asamoah Gyan.
Wow.
Keep going.
Asamoah Gyan.
Keep going now. Yeah.
Asamoah
The next was
Asamoah Gyan.
Atsrim, and then Sunderland. Al Ain.
Asamoah Gyan. You got it.
I got it.
No, because there's someone that also played for Liberty Udinese. So
Yeah, I get it. I get where you're going. So the next player.
Yes,
so now Sitso has
you won the first one. It's okay.
Sitso has 1 point. Next is, this guy started his career at Sao Paulo. Then he moved straight from Brazil into Europe to play for AC Milan.
Pato.
Well, that's wrong. That's wrong. He's not the only player to have done that.
Wrong.
Okay.
The next move.
Let's go on.
Let's go on.
The next move was to Real Madrid. If that still doesn't ring a bell, he finished his career in Orlando City.
Kaká.
That is Ricardo Kaká.
Robinho.
Correct. Sitso is correct. Okay. Third question. So this is 2-0 now. 2-0. Number 3. This guy started his career with New England Revolution. He later moved from New England Revolution to Fulham in the English Premier League.
Oh, Clint Dempsey. Clint
Clint
Dempsey.
Clean
Dempsey.
them. Oh no! Clean them.
Clint Dempsey, that's correct. So that's 2-1 now. Now we move to
One,
the
baby.
fourth. We move to the fourth. And if Jonathan wins this, it'll be a tiebreaker. If Jonathan
Let's
does
go.
not win this and Sitso wins, that is
If
the
I
end of
win
the
it,
game.
I'll win it. Don't worry. I'll win it.
Okay, this guy started his career in Nacional. When I say Nacional, I mean
Brazil.
Nacional in Uruguay. So
Okay.
clearly,
Uruguay.
that is someone from Uruguay.
Okay.
Then he moved from there to play for Groningen in Holland. And then he played for Ajax.
Suarez.
Okay.
It's Jonathan. So Jonathan said it first.
Yes, Sitso. I said Suarez.
Now the tiebreaker. This settles.
Let's go.
This settles the game.
Let's
This settles
go.
the quiz. Now this guy started his career in Sao Paulo. Then he moved from there to Internacional. Then he moved from Internacional straight to England and played for Chelsea. Then he moved from there to Shanghai Port in China.
Oscar.
That is correct.
Oscar.
Jonathan Mensah has won the first edition of the Player Zigzag. He mentioned it. Jonathan, seriously though, what shocks me is you are a footballer. I wasn't expecting you to be keeping track of other footballers. How do you know this? This last player, how did you get it?
I told you, bro. It's that easy for me. Hey, I'm not the footballer where I dey play ball. Keke. I dey love ball. I dey watch ball.
I'm dead.
On that
I'm
note, to
dying.
bring an
That
end
is
to FC
making me-
Pitchside Podcast, it's been an exciting first episode. My name is Thierry, and it's been an absolute pleasure with Jonathan Mensah and Philip Sitso Atsrim bringing you the first episode. So going forward, though, it's not just going to be about the topical issues that you heard on this episode. We'll be delving into some of the games, or most of the big games that have been played over every weekend, and midweek games as well. We'll review, we'll preview, we'll analyze major issues, all the breaking news that keep coming. FC Pitchside Podcast will be on all the platforms, wherever you get your podcast. You can stream or download, but just make sure you leave us feedback by rating us and leaving your comments. If you're watching on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. Once again, my name is Thierry, and I've been doing this with Jonathan and Sitso. Guys, I'll say bye-bye for now.
FC Pitchside Podcast, part of the Footy Center lineup and powered by Ultra Press Media Company.